What's up, everybody? It's Ian here at Fight Science MMA. We're going to start with some basic stuff right now. I'm going to just show you some basic stance and basic punch stuff that everyone should know. Is to be the first thing you learn, okay? So, first thing is punch, okay? How to align your hand is the most basic thing you should learn before you start punching anybody. Number one, the alignment on a punch goes down this front knuckle because when you strike, you're striking with these two knuckles. Your alignment should be here and it should be here. That's a strong punch. If you're aligned any other way, you're going to break your metacarpals pretty bad. Okay, so you want to align with these two knuckles. You want to punch here, and your punch is always straight, and you turn it over as you punch. Okay, and as it comes back. Now look, that's basic. Everyone should already know that. All right. But what a lot of people I see not doing properly is keeping their elbows out and not turning their hip and not turning their feet. Okay? It's really important when you throw a punch that your hip is doing all the driving. And this I say punch, but it's everything in combat sports comes from your hips. Your wrestling, your kicks, your jiu-jitsu, it all comes from your hips. Okay? This hip bone is everything. So when I'm punching, number one, my elbow needs to be in from this front perspective. My hand is here, covering my chin. My elbow is covering my rib cage. And when I'm punching, this hip is driving my elbow, which is driving my punch, okay? The hip is driving, and that's driving my punch, okay? Notice my chin is still tucked into my shoulder, without my shoulder being too high, and without my shoulder being too low. It's just relaxed, but buoyant, okay? It's right here. Everything is lined up, okay? This other hand is on my chin. And then if you notice, you look at my foot. I've got my heel off the ground a little bit. I'm on the ball of my foot. This leg's bent slightly, but my toe is pointing where my where my hand is, where my punch is. I'm sitting on the punch, okay? A lot of people you watch, they'll punch, and it looks like they're turning their hip over, but their foot is still here, okay? I call this the mummy, okay? If my foot is not turning, I'm not properly grounded and my hip is not turning. So all I'm doing is I'm pulling the power away from my punch. It becomes an arm punch. So when I punch, this has to turn. It drives this like a piston, which drives this like a piston, but my foot has to turn, okay? And come back, okay? And that's even true when I throw my jab. When I throw my jab, I'm not overextending, but my hip is coming forward. When I throw my hook, my weight gets centered back and my hip does the work, okay? My hip does the work on my hook, and I'm still hitting with these two knuckles and my hand is still aligned. And there's a little controversy. People always say, well, should you punch like this or should you punch like this? And the answer is yes, okay? They're both right. They're just different, okay? Boxers tend to punch like this a lot. And you get a little bit more torque. I would say this has a little bit more power, all right? As long as I'm keeping my hand parallel, my elbow's not coming up too high, parallel to the ground, 90 degrees here. The work is coming from the hip. The work isn't coming from the hand. I'm not throwing the hook like this. The hook's coming right off my chin, and my hip is turning, and my weight is transferring back to this other to my back leg. Boom, okay? Now, this way, the difference between this and this is I feel this one doesn't have quite as much power because my arm isn't allowed to turn all the way over, that extra bit of torque, okay? The danger of this one is you break this pinky metacarpal right here, right? The little bones in your hand. People call this bone the boxer bone a lot because or boxer's fracture, because boxers break this bone all the time because when they throw a punch, they hit with this knuckle and it breaks. In MMA, you're wearing much smaller gloves, and people don't know how to wrap hands very well in MMA, which is another video I'll show you eventually how to wrap hands. When I punch this way in MMA, if I miss and I hit the head and I hit with this pinky, there's a high chance I'm going to break this bone. So if I turn this way, if I miss, it's not going to break as much. But this one's going to give me a little bit more power. That's pretty much it. Other than that, you can do what's comfortable for you, and you can do both, right? You can throw here, you can throw here. Be careful of palming and slapping when you do it this way, though. You don't want to slap with these knuckles, okay? So, hips are everything. Hips can't move if your feet don't move, okay? If my foot doesn't turn, my hip doesn't turn. If my foot doesn't turn, my hip doesn't turn. If I'm too wide, then I'm not sitting on the punch and the power is being pulled away. So I need to adjust slightly. And once I land, like Bruce Lee used to say, you're relaxed until you punch, till you connect, then you're tense, and then you're relaxed again. Everything is the same. When I sit on my punch, it's at the moment of impact and then back, and then I'm relaxed. So I can go super fast out, clinch, super fast back. And when I do these things, I do them slow, okay? I practice them to build that neural pathway, okay? My hands are moving at a slow speed right here, okay? But my brain is learning it, is learning muscle memory. It doesn't matter how fast I can throw or how hard I throw when I'm practicing the technique. Look at my technique. Where's my weight? Where are my hands? Then when I throw it fast, slow that down and watch it. You'll see my hands and my feet are all in the right spot because I've been doing this slow forever. Okay? Do it slow, build the neural pathways. Now, we talked about punches and how to use your hips, okay? And how to turn those hips over. The same goes for kicks, okay? A kick comes from the hip. Whether that's a round kick, a roundhouse kick like a leg kick, or whether that's a spinning kick, right? Boom. Whether that's a side kick, whether that's an oblique kick, whatever kick I'm throwing, it's always coming from the hips. The hip is leading. If I'm throwing a knee, the hip is coming forward. Boom. If I'm throwing a kick, the hip is coming forward. And again, if I throw a kick and my foot doesn't move, the hip isn't doing anything. If my foot doesn't move, my hip can't turn over. My foot has to turn, and my heel always points at the target, okay? It's very important. My heel will point, if I'm kicking something here, my heel will be pointing at the target that I'm kicking, okay? Boom, my heel will turn on a round kick, anything coming over. So, if I'm doing a teep or a push kick, my hip leads. If I'm throwing a knee, my hip leads. Boom. Okay? Elbow, hip leads. Everything's the hip. And again, back when we were talking with punches, the elbows stay tight. Anything coming out this direction, unless it's meant to be a hook or a short overhand, if I'm throwing my crosses and my hips and my jabs and my elbows are coming out like this, the power is going that way. When I'm forward, the power is coming forward. When I'm here, the power is being deflected out the wrong direction. Okay? It should just turn over as I punch and turn over within this small little hole. Boom. Boom. And all this works together. Boom. All this works together. Boom. All works together. Boom. It all works together. Okay? Hips are the key. Placement of the hand is the key. Elbows tight are the key. And doing it slow so that you're always having one hand on your chin at all times. Okay? You're kicking, your hands are always here, and you're punching, your hands are always here. So a good way to drill that, go to a wall, go to a bag, and just touch it slow. Use your hips. Right? Just drill it slow, build the neural pathway, build the muscle memory, and eventually you'll be able to throw fast, boom, and it'll all be hips at any speed you throw. Thanks again for tuning in to Fight Science MMA. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share our videos, as well as comment. If you have any questions about techniques, or you want to see a future technique, be sure to comment and let us know. Also, like us on Instagram, Twitter, and if you're in LA, come and check us out. We'll see you next time.